Why is the government not doing enough to curb the virus? This is the question we are desperate to get an answer to. But is this the right question to ask? Is this only about the government? Greetings, this is Siddhita Madan, and let's get straight into this. Last year, when the nation lockdown was imposed, Rahul Gandhi said that the centre's COVID 19 strategy comprised of three steps. Stage 1, impose a quote unquote Tughlaqi lockdown. Stage 2, ring bells. And finally, stage 3, sing praises to the Lord. On 20th of April 2021, after the PM summit to the nation, the Congress spokesperson Ajay Maken said, quote, the Prime Minister has put the onus on doing whatever little possible on the state government and also by practically advising them not to implement the lockdown. Unquote. Now, do you see the trend here? Or shall I say the contrast? There is one thing that needs to be clarified. This is not about supporting a particular political party. Instead, this is about displaying the thoughts of each and every Indian citizen fighting the pandemic and not against a particular party to win seats. In fact, one could give many examples of an opposition party targeting another party just for the sake of it. India is surely thriving as a world power in democracy in regards to public participation in elections. However, at the same time, there exists a very unhealthy drift between political parties in India, which is potentially affecting the COVID 19 pandemic response. Coming back to it, what is the problem in having another lockdown? The main issue happens to be the one that is faced by the informal sector or the daily wage earners. Last year, on 25th March, when the lockdown was imposed, there was an exodus of migrants rushing to their native places, mainly UP and Bihar. There were less than 4 hours given to stock up our resources for more than 2 months. So, was this lockdown a mistake? Well, the answer depends on whom you ask. However, the general view is that an early lockdown was a turning point in India's match against the COVID. It was wise for a country with a heavy population to impose the Janta curfew. Now, this does not mean that things could not have been better. India tasted the bitterness of COVID in March. In January and February, India was watching the COVID surge in other countries. So it definitely had time to analyze which strata of the society would be affected by the rise in COVID cases, which could potentially lead to a lockdown. Favorable policies for the poor were initiated after a few days. However, they were not enough. The main apprehensions that the migrant laborers had was the length of the lockdown that made them rush to their native states. The government, after the unlock, still had time to meet the needs of migrant laborers, to give them assurance and to protect them from the cold days of another lockdown. India was a spectator while the United Kingdom was imposing a third lockdown to curb the second wave. But did the Indian government not apprehend another spike in India? And where were all of the political parties and the oppositions? Were they all in West Bengal trying to win some seats? Now, as I say, still there is time to meet the requirements of the daily wagers. However, this would only happen if the political parties, not only the ruling, but also the opponents, put their heads and focus towards us, the citizens, and not a materialistic thing such as election. The next thing that I particularly suggest is having an odd and even system for curbing the spread. Put in simple words, an alternate day system of lockdown. This has been used in corporates and may be beneficial if used nationally. This will also protect the interests of the daily wagers. However, this may reduce their incomes by half, but this could be coped up by favorable government policies providing them free ration and shelter. So the main strategy is stocking up the migrants and the poor with needful supplies and imposing an alternate day lockdown. Let us get this straight. First, India is facing a vaccine shortage. This is due to the production capacity. Serum and Bharat Biotech need some incentives to shoot up their production. The government has taken care of this. India needs 100 million doses and it produces about 70 million. Do you see the gap over there? Secondly, India has fully vaccinated just 1.4%. And I repeat, just 1.4% of its total population. Let me say this. This is still a very good number with respect to India's population and the fact that vaccines were just open to the frontline workers and the population above 45 years until now. To open the vaccine supply to 18 plus was definitely a wise decision, but at the same time, India also needs to ramp up its production facility as the demand will increase. Now, this is not enough to curb the surge. Even if a person is vaccinated, he or she still has the potential risk of catching the virus. You see, vaccine is not a silver bullet. It is supposed to reduce the risk of fatality, not reduce the chances of getting the virus. Let me repeat this. It is supposed to reduce the risk of fatality, not reduce the chances of getting the virus. So, a person who is vaccinated and gets the virus still has the potential of passing it over to another person who is not vaccinated. In a nutshell, vaccine happens to be the silver bullet for a nation as a whole only and only if everyone gets the jab. So, vaccination is not enough for stabilizing the situation. At the same time, while the people are getting immunized by taking vaccines, they need to be forced to stay at home. And I know this sounds enforcing and dictatorial, but this must be done to protect the people from risking their own lives. Now, take examples of United Kingdom. After the Christmas holiday surge, it restricted the movement by imposing a third lockdown and went to launch a heavy vaccine campaign. And this is what has helped. Now restrictions are eased in the UK and new cases have plummeted. Israel too ramped up its production facilities and now look at them. The people are enjoying their lives free of face masks. Third, India is also facing an oxygen supply shortage at the same time, which happens to be the most terrific situation faced by the health institution in India right now. All of these trends, along with the double and triple mutants, show that there is a need for imposing at least some kind of curbs to eventually curb the second surge. If this so happens, then the government also needs to ensure that the laborers have their support. They need to assure them with food and shelter supplies. And they need to assure them that it would be temporary so that there would be no need for them to rush to their native places. And now you must be thinking, would another lockdown be easy? Well, the answer is of course not. But at the same time, also think whether it would be worth it. And the answer would be definitely yes. Another aspect is India receiving any help? Where are the so called world leaders now? India showed its vaccine diplomacy to the world, but now, when it needs the world favors, it is falling lack of friends. India shipped tons of remdesivir, paracetamol, HCQ, and even vaccines to countries like UK, Germany, Italy, the US, Maldives, name a one. But who returns a favor? The answer is no one. In turn, we face shortage of supply of vaccine raw materials banned by the United States. So much for a quote unquote important Indo Pacific strategic partner. In turn, Germany warns India of its decreasing supply of pharmaceuticals amid second wave. Both Germany and the US must get this straight that if it wants India to be a key partner in the Indo Pacific, then they must act like one. If they want India to work in their favor, it must return the favor as well. This is just the ABCD of diplomacy. Now, let me wrap this up with a positive note. Enough of negative already. It is possible, in fact, very much possible, that India emerges as a winner out of this pandemic, just like it did in the first wave. This shows that India has the potential to do it. We can show the world that no matter how many times India gets the COVID fate, it can still emerge out of it as a winner. And this could only be possible if we stick together as a country. Thank you.